In the US Championship, you had a remarkable result, not only in terms of winning the tournament, but also in terms of the amount of decisive games that you played. I think you had 8 wins. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
is that a facet of your style? Do you normally have a lot of wins and decisive games and not too many draws?
Yeah, I honestly, I don't think like 8 games was that much. So I was like, I found it surprising that people were like, oh, 8 games is a lot. Because I feel like that's like fairly normal for like my tournaments. Because I don't think I draw that much. I do have more decisive results. And maybe that's just because like I like to have exciting games. So that's probably what determines it. But I think especially in like tournaments like US championships, I do have more decisive results in general. I think like in the past few years that I've played it's always been like that. So I don't really know exactly why that is. Maybe it's just my style of play, but I have no idea.
Is that
I
also because
Go
the
ahead, go
US
ahead, Ford.
Championship is so high stakes and you just want to win it so much and it's just like go big or go home? So you're willing to win a lot of games, lose a lot of games potentially as well.
Well, also I never play for a draw, which is a good or a bad thing depending because like sometimes it's a really bad thing because I'm losing a lot during the tournament and then maybe it is time to be like let me cut my losses and try to be solid, but it never really worked for me. Like the worst tournament I ever played was this 2019 US Juniors. Lost almost all my games. And then at some point that tournament I tried to. I was like, okay, let's just be conservative and play for a draw. It was like it ended up being worse. So after that, I never did it again. So I think that might be one of the reasons. Like I'm okay with a draw. I'm not against it, but I never try to be like go into a game and be like, I am playing to draw this game.
I feel this is actually one of your biggest strengths because I was doing commentary for the championships and I was pretty much looking at your games every single round and I could see that the opening phase, let's say, not necessarily you didn't know what you're doing because,
No, you can
but
say that because that is quite true.
but the opening phase was a bit more difficult. Even with that and with that setback, moving into a game, still you were able to fight your way back, and I feel this is one of your biggest strengths. Just this attitude of it doesn't matter that I get a bad position, I'm still going to fight my way back, and I'm going to basically will my way back into the game. Is that how you feel about it as well? And how important is your let's say this aspect of your mental strength?
So that is something that I've kind of also dealt with like my whole life, which is I never had good openings. Like I just, for a long time when I first started playing, I got to a, pretty decent rating without knowing, any openings at all. So I was used to having a worse position out of the opening. So if I wanted to win or draw the game even, I would just have to handle that position and be like, how do I make this more playable? So, it doesn't really feel unnatural for me. Like I remember there was one situation like my game against Irina in the that horrible game against Irina in round 12. I was fully aware that I completely misplayed the opening. I was fine with it because obviously the strategy is not the most amazing, but in my all my previous games against her, I was always worse out of the opening. If I think I was usually black, so it's always like +1, +2. And then, at some point it gets complicated. There's like some tricky things and it might become some balance and then more playable. So I was aware of this, so I was like it's definitely possible to get out of this okay. And I think at some point I was okay again until I just lost my mind. But yeah, so knowing this I'm completely fine being in like an unknown position from the opening.